Shannon Sharpe explains why he never got married. I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip for the context.
You married?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I'm looking to get about. Hey, I'm about to be 55. I'm about to be double nickel.
Double nickel, yeah?
Double nickel. So.
What you think about it, though?
I want to get
wait. Let's pretend these cameras ain't here.
Yeah.
It's me and you, Bob Sharpe. I've been talking like they ain't here anyway. What your views on marriage? What do you think?
I would have loved to have gotten married earlier in my career, but my career was the most important thing. So I was no good. I was a terrible father. I probably was a terrible brother, a terrible son. I definitely was a terrible boyfriend because football was the most important thing. Right. I was consumed with that. And I was consumed with that because I wanted to get my grandmother and my family out of the conditions that I grew up in. And I said, if I had kids, I didn't want them to spend 1 hour, let alone a year like I spent. So I focused on that. That was the only thing that mattered.
Right.
And I had a lot of women say they could be okay with being with number 2 to football. But when it came right down to it and they see how devout I was in it, they couldn't be.
Right.
And I said, okay. But now I started to realize that as I've gotten older in my life, everything that I've accumulated doesn't mean anything if I don't have anybody to share it with. And it took me spending time alone to realize that, yes, Shannon, you're great at what you do. You're in the Hall of Fame. You accomplished a lot. But at the end of the day, who do you share it with?
That was the clip, the context. Shannon Sharpe explains why he never got married. Often in this space, we often talk about women dying alone. In this case, he's saying he don't want to die alone. He focused on his career, and now that he's older and he's done with his career, he don't have nobody to share life with. Let's go ahead and talk about it. What are you guys' thoughts? Do you think that men should be focusing on marriage? Do you think that men don't want to die alone? Are you in agreement with sharing a life with somebody? I'm gonna go ahead and start with Luis first. What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I'll say this. They say that being married, you will have a longer life expectancy versus being single. I don't know how true that is. Apparently, from what I saw, it was like only a difference of like 2 years. But I think the pandemic gave him a lot of time to sit back and kind of reflect on his life, on his career and accomplishments, and realize that he found himself spending more times in a room with 4 walls by himself and no one to share intimate conversations or space, outside of just Sports Center or his talk show. So, it shouldn't have gotten to 55. It shouldn't have taken him to get to 55. I know he said he has children, but I mean, he wasn't really serious to begin with because he was just having his fun. He was having his way. I mean, if we're gonna be real and call a thing, he was just enjoying, the moment, the spotlight. He thought that it would never go away, especially after football, and he didn't prioritize marriage because if he did, he would have found himself at least a few decent candidates that he could have, locked down. But I think he's just looking back at hindsight 2020 and realizing that you'll be remembered for all these great accomplishments, but you will never have somebody who you gave your last name to who was there on your dying bed. So how you?
Okay, before I go to the next person, I just want to ask you like your thoughts about it when it comes to your life. Are you looking to be married before you reach the age 55?
To Luis or everybody?
No, I was talking to like Luis because he has. I know some of the guys I married, and I just wanted to know if.
I'll definitely marry before 55.
Okay, so it is something that you want to do. Okay, I know we got some married men on the panel. I'm pretty sure that was your goal.
My parents have been together and married now for like 45 years, right? They've been together a long time, retired together. So, and also on my mother's side, it's like 85% of everybody's married. So we just come from that type of family.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go to you, Mr. Lego. What are your thoughts about it? Shannon Sharpe explains why he never got married.
I would urge Shannon Sharpe not to get married because marriage can't be an afterthought. It's what the independent women love to sit around and say. Oh, I got 2 kids and I got my career and I got all this money. Now all I need is a husband. No. a man or a woman, they're not afterthoughts. They're not an accessory on top of the cake. You feel me? You can't just run around and get all this stuff and now you're like, oh, now I want to get married. That's not how it works. That's another person, you know? And I think men and women don't necessarily look at the opposite sex as another person. We look at that person as the icing on some cake or the next thing or something, you know? So no, I hope Shannon Sharpe does not get married because you can tell by how he sounds. If that's not what you want, that's not what you want. You know, you can't wake up one day, you don't want a wife, you know, and it sounds like, because I don't know him, it sounds like that's what he's saying. So I would say no, because I was married and I value the marriage. I value the family. I value, like, it's remnants of my marriage still out there. You know, just the way me and my kids operate, you know, me and my ex-wife, we don't talk or whatever, but sometimes she be in a car. Like, you know, I know her mama, you know, my kid's grandmama. Like, I know the whole family. So it's like, it's remnants of my marriage out there where it's a family aspect to being married. It's not just you find a woman and you settle down with them. You know, it's so much bigger than that. And to a person that's just like 55 and never really cared or thought about marriage, he don't need to get married because he's going to get screwed over by somebody that just wants him for his money, because he is just going to want her for a wife. But it's so much bigger than that. You know, just looking at my whole family aspect is so much bigger than that. So I would say no. But I personally do want to get remarried because I always looked at myself like there's something missing because I enjoy being married so much. So yeah, I want to get married.
Do you want any more kids, Mr. Let Go?
The answer is no, but for the right woman, I'll do that. That ain't no problem. Because my whole thing is I love kids, right? So if I meet a woman who has kids, no. But if I meet a woman who doesn't have kids and that's the woman I want to be with, the answer is yes. Altogether, I love kids. I don't even want to like settle down with a woman with like grown kids because I love kids so much. So no, I'm down with whatever.
All right, Trill, what are your thoughts about it? Shannon Sharpe explains why he never got married.
Man, I think he came to that hard conclusion that he missed the boat. It's like my boy Smooth always say, man, and me and him go back and forth about this a lot, but he always say, like, it's so much harder to find a woman after you reach success because that success put holes in you, quote unquote, which is how he phrases it. And what he means by that is that I don't trust shit. I built this all on my own. I done became a millionaire. So how do I know that you here for me? And there's no real way to know until, you know what I'm saying, you get into the situation and then it unfolds how it unfolds. So that's just gonna make it that much harder. But I mean, he doesn't sound to me like he didn't want a relationship. It sounded like he tried. But he just was burdened with, you know, taking care of his family the same way that his brother was. You know, I don't know if y'all familiar with their story, but they come from extremely rough upbringings. You understand what I'm saying? No running water, 2-bedroom house that's 600 square feet with 10 people living in it. That's the circumstances, right? So when that's the case and you got a chance to go to the league, I'm sacrificing everything to get to the league and change those circumstances. So that was his mindset, and he speaks about that a lot. And the fact is that like a relationship requires a certain amount of time, effort, and energy that somebody that's that driven to dig itself out of that hole just does not have available. So you got to get lucky with the woman, and he just didn't get lucky and missed his boat. You understand what I mean by lucky is having a woman that can understand those circumstances and doesn't mind being second place. Just like he said in the clip, he said plenty of women agreed to it until it came time for you to get settled into that second place and get comfortable there. And then it's like, well, damn, yeah, how long you gonna do this? Like, well, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got no time for me. I can't get no calls between practices or film session or weight room or nothing. Now all of a sudden, she said she was cool, now she tripping. Because again, women can say what they want, but again, successful relationships require a lot of time, energy, and effort. And if you don't have them to give, you got to stay away from them. So I think he's commendable in that aspect, in my opinion, because he didn't drag a woman along like most people in that situation do and dog her out and cheat on her and neglect her and keep crying for her to come back. So you just keep doing the same thing and, you know, not accepting the fact that she'll never be number one priority until I'm done with this game. But it's a cost to that, and he's paying it now. So that's what I hear in his voice. And, you know, again, it's going to be hard pressed for him to find a woman. He's going to have to find a woman who has money also. You're going to have to find a woman that's within his field. Or he's going to have to dig way back to childhood to go grab somebody that knew him before it. But just meeting a woman just out or on social media or at the club or at the library or grocery store, he's a superstar now. That's it. I mean, that success put holes in him, and he's paying for it.
All right, that's a good thought. Mindset Mogul, what are your thoughts about it? Shannon Sharpe explains why he never got married.
Yeah, I'm really loving Let Go's thoughts and Trill's thoughts because 100% fact. At this point, you're a star, right? But you do need people. I think all of our potential is actualized with other people. But at the same time, I truly believe that you can find love at any stage of your life. It just depends on how you're approaching it and how you're looking to create it, really. So for me, I love what he was doing. Just like Trill said, he was in a situation where, he had to get out. Like, his focus was his career. And you got to put that type of effort in. You got to, like, really be focused and locked down on this goal in order to achieve certain goals. And he did that. So, we don't know what his love life could be like later on. And maybe he could find that person. I'm sending him love. I hope he does find that person. But it could be hard. And it could be stressful. But once again, I do like the fact that he put his career, he did what he wanted to do, he accomplished his goal, and now he's looking for that next chapter in his life.
Okay. All right. Trigger Mike, what are your thoughts about it? Shannon Sharpe explained why he never got married.
I'm going to come at it from a different angle because, looking into his story, regardless of how he's feeling now, he created multiple broken homes. That's just a fact. So I get that he's feeling, and what he's feeling right now, I believe, is he's Shannon Sharpe. He don't have to die alone if he don't want to. But right now he's feeling empty. When you that age with those type of accolades, and you at the Lakers games arguing with Ja Morant's daddy, and you got your own show and all that stuff, that's cool. But when you got to look at those men who are husbands and fathers, and they got millions, and their legend is intact, and they got kids that carry on their legend. And those kids, he has the love and admiration of those kids. That'll take a toll on a man. It'll take a toll on him. And I think he's coming to grips with everything he's responsible for breaking in his life. So this just could be, penance for what he did. And, I remember back in the day, they said he caught a lawsuit for kicking his baby moms out of his house and all of that. But, maybe it's better that he wasn't married. I think I'm with Mr. Let Go, because he on the success route, on everything he's done with his career, both professional football and media, he's been phenomenal. But I really think, and that's why I say the husband and the father is the most celebrated person and will be the most celebrated person in history until the end of time, because that person had to do everything while maintaining a family. And I think he's realizing there's a huge hole in his legend when you didn't do it properly for those kids, when you ain't do right by that woman. There's a huge hole in your legend, right? So that's why I tell young cats today, man, you could be out here doing what you want to do, but when it comes down to it, my story, my autobiography, going to be a lot longer than yours. If you know what I mean, because it includes my wife and my kids, and they all showing up for the pictures and the interviews. That might not be happening for him, and that's probably what he's coming to grips with right now.
All right. Hey, Bruiser, what are your thoughts about it? Shannon Sharpe explains why he never got married.
Yeah, I might have a similar but a different thought on it. But I would say all men, will be faced with a sacrifice of choice. Those choices will relate to your current capacity or influence you can have on those that you chose to hold down or bring out of the struggle. He picked a sacrifice that doesn't complement a loving companionship. This path isn't for all men. Most men don't have the opportunity early on to take a sacrifice with this magnitude. Praise to the talented young brothers who can. But the bottom line is leaving a lasting impression on those you hold dear, whether it's a wife, a children, or a combination of both. I've seen men who took the other option by marrying the woman and the game, and it didn't quite work out, like Tom Brady. But, he had his career, his seed is sown. So perhaps now that he has created a space so that his children don't have to suffer like he has, maybe they can go and have a wife and do it the way most men do. That's how I look at it.
All right, B. Madden, what are your thoughts about it? Shannon Sharpe explains why he never got married.
Yeah, I missed the clip, but I'm familiar with the story and I follow him pretty well. I'm just going to say this, as somebody that's been an ex-football player and an athlete and being around, family members and friends and whatnot and teammates that's been in the league for years and years, what they tell you is that you should marry the woman that was your college sweetheart or someone that you got with when you were younger or early in your career. Because once you hit that certain level of fame, it gets really, really difficult. And I think, I can't remember, was it was it Trill speaking on it or was it Let Go speaking on it about, just different holes after you've had success. You don't know who's really there for you. And it's really, really difficult. And someone that's 55 years old and has had success his entire career and has had a second career and has had immense success with that as well, and is a Hall of Famer broadcaster, and he has huge YouTube show as well too. I mean, he's everywhere. So I don't think it's for a lack of opportunity. I think he has plenty of opportunity to date women and whatnot. I think it has to do with I remember he dated Nicole Murphy for a time and some other people as well. So I think it's about getting people that's in the age group that he wants. Getting somebody that cares about him for him, which is already difficult enough, instead of all the things that come with him. But honestly, I mean, the way everything's set up now, he doesn't necessarily have to get married, but if he does get married, I mean, he has ways of protecting himself financially, at this point. So I think it's literally a companionship thing at this point. But if he wants to get married, he'll do it for companionship. But aside from that, when you've been doing it, when you're 55 and been single for that long, you are who you are. You stuck in your ways. It's really, really difficult to change, especially add somebody into your home, into your world, change your whole dynamic and your routine and everything. That's a lot. And to get used to living with somebody else and whatnot, that's a lot too. She gonna get on your nerves, different things like that. I mean, that's a lot. That's a different dynamic there. So I don't know, but I just hope that he's happy whatever he decides.
I mean, what do you think about the concept of living together apart?
You cut out. I didn't hear the whole question.
Like people come together. I said, with that being said, what do you think about the concept or idea of people living, being together but living apart? Like she has her own place, he has a place. Obviously, it's more based on companionship and like a life partner, but like they're both kind of stuck in their ways, and you're talking about merging lives together. So, and that's now been. I see Cho just shaking his head like no, but
yeah,
that's been a conversation that's been talking for a bit.
Let me make go ahead, B-Man. Go ahead, B-Man.
Yeah, I'll say this. I don't. Maybe in that kind of situation when it comes to that age group, maybe 55, 60, whatever. If he's dating somebody that's in that same age range, that might be something, or someone dating somebody. Or is have a companionship with somebody who has a lot of their own, who's already known or, something like that in the entertainment industry or something like that. I could see that, but I'm not a fan of it, and I don't, promote that in general. So,
Let me say this because just as to add on, I think especially athletes, now that I think about it in totality, I was just talking about this with one of my boys. A lot of them realize they should have got married. You absolutely should have gotten married.
mhm.
I don't know if y'all know the basketball player Trevor Ariza. Y'all heard of him before? My college roommate went to high school with him. So he came to Houston, Martin Luther King Day weekend when I first moved down here. He was like, I'm gonna call my boy. You trying to go to the Rockets game? I thought his boy worked at the stadium. So his boy was Trevor Ariza. All right. Then we went to have dinner with his family, and we did that a few times while he came over the years. And Trevor Ariza told me a story about Kobe. And we were talking about his kids. I didn't have any kids yet. My boy didn't have any kids yet. And he said somebody asked Kobe to give them, I think it was like Smush Parker, somebody, that was really like a scrub. It was like, give me pointers on my game. He thought Kobe was about to say lace him up and take him to the gym. Kobe started talking to dude about life and how he needs to get his life situation together. He needs to get a woman. He needs to get a cook, right? You need to get your assets in order. He's like, I'm asking you for basketball advice. He said, get your life in order and your game will improve. I want y'all to count the NBA championships for the last 20 years and who the star player is. Are they married or not married? Who's winning? The married men are winning. They got their life in order. So he's looking at this. I think all men kind of look back at some point and say, did I make the right decision? Because I could have been winning way more had I made those decisions. I think that might be a key reason that most athletes, like you're going to see it, James Harden, right? I'm only talking about the people because I know, how they move in Houston. He out here moving around, right? But one day he might look back like, damn, I should have locked it down, bro. I might have me and Chris could have did 2 championships out here, right? So just food for thought.
Other than Russell Wilson, I just want to put that out there.
Wow.
He got a Super Bowl ring too, so you can't hate him.
I'll just say he sucks right now because he's married.
Okay, I see what you say. I was like, okay.
It's who he's married to. I'm just saying, your wife run around making independent woman songs, and you try to figure your life out on the football field. So that makes a lot of sense, because if his wife would sit her ass down somewhere, he can possibly win some games. But he worried about her running around twerking at gas stations and on Jeeps or whatever randomly throughout the season. He's like, yo, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So he out here throwing interceptions, like you said, Trigger Mike, possibly because his wife is running around acting like an idiot. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I say all the time, man, about my wife being my parole officer. People always laugh at me when I say that, but she gives me structure.